Sorry, before we start the deputations, could I please just make a quick announcement? I just need to make members of the public aware that Cllr Price is going to be making deputations today as a member of the public whose property is directly affected by the application, and he then will be making a second deputation as ward councillor, which is why the order of the deputations for this item is slightly different to normal.
Thank you very much. Before I actually start, I just want to make one statement, and that is that I'm here not as Councillor Roger Price. I'm here at the moment as Mr. Roger Price, and I still would wish to, at this particular point, declare a pecuniary interest, because I do live in a road which, of course, the officer never mentioned, but it does adjoin the site, and therefore the development does overlook my property, and that's why I'm here doing a deputation as Mr. Roger Price. Will then, after that, go on to do my one as a councillor representing the area. Right. Starting off on my personal one, in my opinion, and my wife's opinion, there should be a fence, or preferably a wall, at the rear of our property and adjoining the two properties next door to us. There's only three in Sissinghurst Road. Would suggest that the developer should provide a fence at the rear of all the current properties, and this be maintained by the developer in perpetuity, so that all the boundary is contained, all the properties are contained within their fenced area. The grassed area at the rear of our property needs to have barriers in the grass so as to stop parking or stop vehicles running over the grass when the lay-by is full. South of the corner of our property there's a lay-by, I think, of 2 or 3 vehicles, and there's a grass verge to the north of that, and I'm guessing about 1 metre wide, and there needs to be something put in there to stop people running over that grass. I would also suggest that the painted brick is out of character of the surrounding area, and we would certainly prefer to see a traditional brick building at the back of us rather than a painted building. Finally, developers need to make arrangements so that I can maintain my fence in the future if they are not going to put a fence up to fence in their development area. Otherwise, I have a problem of being able to maintain my fence. Thank you. That ends my personal deputation. Okay. Can I now go on to the paper in the right order? My deputation as a councillor. I have a number of concerns over the report. If you look at page 88, it talks about the allotments. Now, the allotments actually did cover the whole of the northern area, from one side of Sissinghurst Road across to Seafield Road and bordering on Tatchell. Yes, it was some time ago, but there were allotments all across there. And if you actually look on that piece of land, there are some of the old sheds which the allotmenteers actually used for their allotments. So I'm surprised that that isn't in the report. Also surprised again that the officer did not mention that Sissinghurst Road was a bordering road to the site, because it is. Page 93 of the report, when it talks about reptiles, and it says reptiles surveys may have been done, but a waste of time and money, because what has been going on in the last couple of weeks has destroyed them. There will be no creatures on that land now because of the work that is going on. I've never seen such devastation that has been taking place in the last couple of weeks on that site. We used to have birds in the garden, don't get them anymore. Page 98, under DSP 3, the Fair and Landscape Assessment 2017. There's nothing to do with this area. I mean, where people get the idea there's electric pylons going across it or near to it must be living in kind of cuckoo land, because the nearest pylons are miles away. So, that's an exaggeration, half a mile away at least. So, to me, that is wrong within the report. There's also a mention in the report about Southern Water. Southern Water deals with sewerage in the eastern ward of the borough, but it doesn't deal with fresh water. There's no comment in the report from Portsmouth Water Company about how they can or cannot supply fresh water. There was fencing erected around the southern part of the site some months back, probably about a year back now, and it was only supposed to be there for a short period of time. And the developers gave assurance that it was going to be removed. Still there, never been removed. So I don't have a lot of confidence in the developer being able to carry out what they're saying they're going to do. Also, the housing type, in my opinion, is wrong. If you look at the Tattershall to the eastern side of Tattershall and also Seafield Road, those are all bungalows. Now, whereas this development site is all houses, I would have thought you should have had bungalows at the top corner coming down, bungalows backing onto Seafield, and then I don't have a problem then of houses across the rest of the site. I have grave concerns that the open space and the habitat land will be properly maintained. It's very easy to say, oh yes, the developer will maintain it, or the owner who's going to have the houses or whatever is going to maintain it. But what can we as a council do if they don't? That is the issue, because there's an awful lot of going into that habitat area. We need to make sure, if you grant permission, that somehow or other we have a lot of strength in being able to make sure that they comply with that. Highways and air quality. I know, I sat around this table many times and heard what highway officers have said about there's no traffic issues, etc., etc. Before I came here today, I drove round Mourant just to be totally sure in my own mind I knew what I was seeing. And what I knew was there, but I wanted to be totally sure. You drive around all the roads on the southern part there, as the case officer said, there's pinch points. Now those pinch points is you only get one vehicle through there. You could only get, in two vehicles passing would be bicycles. You wouldn't get any other two vehicles to pass, but maybe motorbikes. So from my point of view is that the highway network in the south part there cannot take the extra traffic because it comes out onto Wickham Lane and then onto White Hart Lane, Cornway Lane and onto the A27. We all know that once you get onto the A27 and if you're going into the Fareham area, we have massive queues at certain times of the day. We know also, as an authority, that air quality is an issue for the borough. Air quality, the government lost the case in the Supreme Court on air quality. Fareham area has been recognised as one of the worst areas in the country, and the council has to submit a feasibility study to the government by the end of this month to identify solutions. Now, that is being based on current traffic. It's not taking into consideration the extra traffic which this and possibly other sites, well certainly the 122 properties in Cranley Road, not taking any of that into consideration. Now, that can only worsen the situation, it cannot improve it. So we have to address that. Now, therefore, I believe that on air quality alone, on the balance, this tips the application into the refusal area, as people's health must be a priority, as even at present, difficult to get to see a doctor's appointment. Now, I know and accept we can't do anything about doctor's appointments, we can't do anything about dentists and doctors, but we can look at the situation of the air pollution. And I believe strongly is that it just tips it, bearing in mind that we are not far off the 5-year land supply. Go back a couple of months, we were way off the 5-year land supply. We are now only a point something off. Okay, we're off, but it makes the other issues much more palatable to look at and say that is a reason for refusal. That ends my deputation as an elected member. I am going to say that I wish to stay and listen, because I understand one of my fellow councillors was going to do a deputation, but I've been refused. The officers have said that I cannot stay and listen to that. I find that totally unacceptable, but I will obey by their decision and leave, which I find very regrettable. Thank you.